Hello internet friends, and welcome back to my series where we look for quality clothing within a brand. Today we are focusing on the highly requested Quince. Before we dive into this video though, I do have two quick disclaimers. This video is based on my opinion and my opinion alone. I am a very opinionated person, but I also only like to come after things that are based on quality standards. So my opinions and views are not based on style, they are based on quality standards, and that's specifically what we're looking for in these videos. Now, the second disclaimer is the vast majority of these pieces were all gifted to me. Now, I have specifically talked about on my channel how much I think influencer and affiliate culture has ruined the fashion world because people are consistently talking about things that are gifted to them or given to them for free, and that automatically strips the value out of these items. Most influencers do not understand what the difference between a $50 item and a $200 item is. And sometimes there are no differences. Even though these pieces were gifted to me, I am still coming at this from the approach of what are the quality standards based on. I mostly wanted to emphasize that because this is the first video where I am featuring things that are gifted to me. Everything else prior to this has been either me investigating the company on my own and going into the store or purchasing from them with my own money. I do want to point out though, I will be comparing a lot of my personal purchases with Quince to understand their quality standards and kind of where they lie within the marketplace. So with all of that being said, let's dive into Quince. Quince was started in 2018 by Sid Gupta under the name Last Brand, but customers were a little hesitant and didn't quite understand the concept with the brand name. So they kicked around a few different names using quintessentials as a guiding point that led them to Quince. Quince operates under the DTC business model, which means direct to consumer, with the logistics being factory to you. Most businesses operate with a middleman at some point within the supply chain, and in some cases, it can be as large as factory to wholesaler to warehouse to retail store and then to you, with each stop along the way accruing costs to the company. So under the supposed DTC claim, you have cost savings that are in theory given to the customer. Other brands that operate within this business model are brands like Warby Parker and Everlane, to name a few. Since Quince has launched though, they have been in some very notable hot water, and lately it's been getting a little hard not to pay attention to it. From UGG to Coach, talking about Quince and not mentioning dupe culture is almost impossible. Something that I will be covering very heavily within this video though is dupe culture and whether or not it is ethical versus exploitative, and at what point does it draw the lines, because I think Quince is a really good example of, ooh, are we hitting that point where it does draw the line? Now, as some of you already know, I have two different personality types. Either I am critiquing and deep diving into companies like this video, or I'm out thrifting and searching for obscure, vintage, good quality brands. And I am always looking for ways to balance out my energy levels on days that require maybe a little bit more concentration versus days where I am going to be spending at the thrift store and digging through racks of clothes. Magic Mind reached out recently and asked me if they could send me their performance shots to try out and see if I like balancing out my different energy options. Spoiler alert, I love them and they are now the sponsor of this video. So thank you, Magic Mind, for working with me. But let me tell you real quick why I love them. I have spent the last few weeks testing out all three of their shots. They have the original, max, and the free. First, I started out with the free. I'm not a big caffeine person and I only drink a cup of coffee in the morning. This was a perfect mental boost on days that I was looking for clarity and focus. The next few days was the original. The original felt like a subtle boost. It has a bit of caffeine, so good energy and very balanced. And the final few days, I tried the max. These were my thrifting and very active days. I used max in the morning and replaced it with my coffee. It has 165 milligrams of caffeine, but unlike a cup of coffee, it releases over a 3 to 4 hour time period. My personal favorite and the one that I use consistently is the free. But when I have a thrift heavy day, the max is my go-to. It is just such a nice energy boost. And I have a few friends in the thrift community that I know for a fact would absolutely love this. Now, as they are launching, they do have a limited offer. The QR code or link gets you 60% off on your subscription. They also have a 100% money back guarantee. If you don't like it, they refund 100%, no questions asked, which basically means you're trying for free and you can cancel the subscription anytime. Thanks again, Magic Mind, for sponsoring today's video. And now let's get back into it. Let's talk about the ins and outs of Quince, what's worth it, what's a splurge, and what is a hard pass for me. Let's start out with the good stuff. In my opinion, their cashmere and wool is very much worth the price point. I think their strong suit is in the luxury attainable items. So cashmere, for instance, it is very difficult to find this selection of cashmere at a price point in one place. You can shop around for it, but most retailers will have a few items of the season as hero pieces, but Quince does a good job of stocking them year round, and a wide selection of them. They very much like to compare themselves to the likes of Jenny Kane, Loro Piana, and J. Crew, to name a few. And the ultimate question comes down to, are they like any of those brands? No, 100% they are not. But are they affordable compared to those brands? In most cases, yes. I think Jenny Kane is probably the best example. Jenny Kane runs anywhere from $300 to $400. I have thrifted a couple cardigans myself over the years, so I know how they feel, and I can honestly say they're similar. They're not the same though. But I do think as far as price point and budget goes, I will say Quince is a very good budget conscious piece. The very first item that I ever tried out with Quince was part of their Cashmere 1.0 line. And the moment I got this piece, I was mortified. I did not think I was ever going to talk about Quince again. Now, I am very mindful and I do follow the rules when it comes to caring for my wool and cashmere. I use my good old trusted friend, the laundress. I've been using it for years. It works really well as a cashmere shampoo. But the moment I washed this piece, after wearing it multiple times, it felt like it was decades old. It was already pilling. It honestly felt like a wool felted sweater, which once it's felted, there is no going back from it. For a very long time, I hesitated with ever dipping my feet back into Quince. But then they talked about the fact that they launched Cashmere 2.0. And ever since Cashmere 2.0 was launched, I do have to say there is a noticeable difference in the quality of the cashmere pieces, and I have officially fallen in love. But overall, I would give the experience with their cashmere probably an 8 out of 10, which is saying quite a bit. Now, I have cashmere from Valentine, which this piece is over 50 years old. It has lasted this long. There's no holes, there's no pilling on it. It is top tier cashmere, and you can tell the knitting is just not the same, just based on their feedback with the Cashmere 1.0 versus their 2.0 cashmere. I do think they do a pretty decent job of listening to their customers and understanding the feedback that they're getting. Next up is linen, which I think is another banger on their website. I love their linen collection for the most part. Now, I will point this out myself. After moving to Florida, I am converted. I pretty much only wear linen. Prior to Florida though, I was a very different person. I had not fallen in love with linen just yet, so I do understand it's very much a climate thing in some cases. But as a newfound lover of linen, I do have to say their price points are so good when it comes to linen. Now, I recently purchased a bunch of linen from J. Crew so that I could specifically compare it to the linen from Quince, and I have to say it is very comparable. Almost in some cases, I prefer the fit and the structure, especially on their linen shorts. Quince is by and far the winner. And another element that I absolutely love about Quince versus J. Crew is the colors stay the same. And this has led to, over time, collecting pieces in my wardrobe that all go cohesively together. So I first got their navy linen pants, and then I decided I wanted a matching top, and then I decided it's summertime, I need some shorts. So I was able to get stuff all within the same color tone, and I did it over time. It was something that grew with me. But with J. Crew, I ordered the same color tone in 2 different pieces, and they did not match in any way, shape, or form. And that was super frustrating. And with each season, you do run the risk of those colors changing. One thing that I've noticed with Quince is they do not change their color tones, or I have not experienced anything personally where they've changed their color tones. And I appreciate that from like a long-term building your wardrobe point. Sometimes making these decisions and buying everything at once doesn't work in some people's budgets, and being able to grow your wardrobe over time and understanding that you can keep going back to the same place over and over again and expanding on that wardrobe, I think sometimes can make a world of difference and is so important, especially to a budget conscious consumer. Now, as far as the overall quality of the linen, comparing it to both Banana Republic and J. Crew, I can honestly say the quality standards and the feel of the linen is the exact same as J. Crew. There is no difference, with the minor, very, very minor exception of the Garçon shirt. It is in Irish linen. does feel a bit softer, and I do tend to lean towards that shirt a little bit more often. However, I do want to point out the fact that the dye on the navy pants that I wear the absolute most, I mean, we're talking I wear this probably at least once a week. I live and die by these pants. I wear them all the time as loungewear. Sometimes you'll catch me at the theme parks wearing them because they are just so comfortable and so airy that they are, yeah, they're hands down my most worn pieces. But because of that, the dye is fading on it. Now, I will say, I am very much someone who likes patina. I like having wear on my clothes. Sometimes when you see those little tracks and wear marks on clothes, those speak to me more than anything. I am a vintage lover. I love patina. The fact that this is happening though within a year of use is a little bit concerning. I'm not gonna say it's a huge red flag because a lot of times with linen and dye, this actually is a pretty common thing. So with about a year of use and washing weekly, this is kind of the standard that you're looking at with the overall wear of the clothes. I also did a Banana Republic review, and linen was something that I heavily focused on. And I can honestly say there's no comparison to that linen. I don't know what they're doing at Banana Republic, but they are sourcing some really good linen. I cannot compare it. Can I compare it to the Banana Republic factory outlet? Close. It's very close. They do have a strong mixture of linen over there, whereas the linen that you get at Quince is 100%, which is something I really appreciate. The linen at the factory outlet stores, both at J.Crew and Banana Republic, were a blend of viscose and linen. So to me, the value breakdown goes Banana Republic, and then like you gotta step down a couple tiers, and then you have Quince, and then you step down another tier and you have J.Crew, and then you step down probably 2 more tiers and you have Banana Republic factory outlet and J.Crew factory outlet. So Quince is pretty high up there, but it's not comparing to any of the top tier linen choices. Now let's move on to the cotton. One of my personal favorite things about Quince is a lot of things are organic cotton, but that does not mean that it is best tier, top tier quality. This is where I think Quince really falls off the map. I do not like the majority of their cotton pieces. I just have yet to find anything that I like. The majority of it is cotton poplin, which cotton poplin is so hard to do. It is so difficult to find good cotton poplin. In my opinion, the only way to get good quality cotton poplin is to pay up for it. I have a Sandy Liang cotton poplin dress that I thrifted years ago that is just unmatched. The snapback on it, just everything, oh, the crispiness. It is a beautiful dress, but you compare it to the cotton poplin from Quince, and I mean, you can just hear it. You can hear it, the sound that it makes. It's just not, it's just not there. To me, I would put the cotton poplin pretty close to fast fashion. Cotton poplin is so hard to do right, and very few companies make good cotton poplin, and it typically ends up leaving the garment lifeless where it should be crisp. Other cotton pieces on their website, again, are very hit or miss. One of my personal favorites is the cotton cardigans and sweaters. I eat those up. I think they are so good. The more that I'm thinking about this breakdown, the more I'm realizing it's the winner items. It's the thicker, more substantial pieces where I think the value lies. I have 100% cotton cardigan that I wear to death. It is literally the piece that, like, it's just my lounge cardigan. I wear it all around the house. And of course, they're crew neck sweaters. My comparison as far as quality goes for these, I would say they're very much in line with that of like the Gap. So I would consider most of their basics a step up from places like Walmart, Target, and Old Navy. I would not consider them comparable to that of the likes of Banana Republic or Jenny Kane or anything pretty much over that $200 price point or threshold when it comes to 100% cotton. But I do think as far as an affordability standpoint, they very much dominate the market when it comes to those middle brands. They're 100% washable silk pieces. Whew. This is a hard one. This is a really difficult one for me because you might already know this. I'm not a fan of buying new silk. I like thrifting silk. Thrifting silk I'm okay with, but new silk is so hard to do. Silk is expensive for very good reason. Washable silk is going to be chemically treated. It's just not something that I am really impressed with. I think it loses its luster very quickly. The one case that I would say the washable silk is really good in a wardrobe is either someone who truly truly likes the feeling of like sleeping in silk, for instance, lounging in silk wear. It's not really my vibe because I'm a very like, I think I'm a very utility person. So to me, I see it and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm gonna snag this, or oh gosh, I'm gonna spill something on it. Like it just doesn't fit in my lifestyle. But I do think for the price point, it is very complimentary to anybody who is just maybe living life really delicate, is how I would like to explain it. The few pieces of the washable silk that I have from them, I've looked at it from the standpoint of this is a really good like interview piece or a really good wear to work piece, but not something that I reach for on a daily basis. So do I have a little skewed perspective when it comes to purchasing the washable silk from their website? Yes. I just don't think they have the science of the silk down, and I truly think silk is something that should last a lifetime in a wardrobe, and these don't really feel like pieces that are gonna last a lifetime. So for me personally, their silk is another thing that I'm like, hard pass. The one piece that I enjoy from Quince, as far as their silk pieces go, is the silk slip skirt. But with this piece, I always have to cover the waistband. The waistband is very warped. The elastic actually puckers out and doesn't sit correctly. I would never wear this piece without a large sweater covering up that portion of the skirt because it just doesn't look good. My absolute least favorite part of Quince and what they have to offer is their pants. My goodness, Quince, pick up the pace when it comes to pants, please. Aside from the linen pants and shorts that I have from them, the cuts on them are awful and not flattering. The fabric choices are also mediocre at best. Their denim collection makes me want to scream. It's nice that everything's under $50, but they are riddled with polyester. They're elastane, spandex. I mean, they're just stretch pants. They are something that's just not gonna last in your wardrobe, which makes them fast fashion to me. Also, not to mention, any of their pants that I've gotten from them don't have pockets. I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, I have to like zoom in on the photos and be like, if they don't have their hands inside the pants, I'm not buying them. I'm sorry, it's 2025. I hope it's well known that women want pockets. Anyways, I digress. And the very last pieces that I would say, don't waste your money, so we've worked our way all the way down to like the worst of the worst, is their basics. And by basics, I mean like their underwear, bodysuits, bras, pieces like that. They just don't hold their shape very well. I'm obviously not going to show you guys what my underwear looks like, but I do have some Quince underwear pieces. They don't hold up after a couple washes, and it's very much a letdown. So to tie that up in a pretty little bow, my absolute favorites, ranking them, cashmere, wool pieces, 100%. They are a go. I think for the price point, you just cannot beat them. Next, their linen pieces. Oh my gosh, I love their linen. I think they're doing a phenomenal job with keeping the prices affordable. The color tones match so well, something that I am obsessed with, and I get so agitated when I purchase something from a brand and the colors don't match up even season over season. It's just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to keep rebuying these pieces. Cut me some slack. I want to work on building my wardrobe. That's where Quince really wins and really excels. Their knitwear is also top tier for the price point. Their fisherman cable knits, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with them. They are so good. But the cotton poplin, I rage. I do not like it. Their basics, I also rage. I do not like them. And their silk pieces, I say enter into it knowing it's mediocre at best, and understand if it fits your wardrobe, it might be something that works for you, but really good silk is definitely still out there, and there are far better standards when it comes to silk on the marketplace. So let's get into my final thoughts and hot takes, because you know I always have some. Because these are my opinions, some of them might be style based, so buckle up for that. I don't think I'm gonna offend anybody, but I do just wanna say, like, you know, we're gonna talk about style a little bit, okay? Okay, so dupe culture. Now, I actually have some pretty solid opinions on dupe culture. When it comes to dupes, having been a vintage seller for as long as I have, the amount of companies that have purchased vintage items from me, knowing that they are going to knock off the piece and use it as a framework, as a guide to creating something of their own, I mean, it's a common practice. It's a common practice in the industry. There is very little that's original anymore, but Quince definitely toes a fine, very fine line on dupe culture. I think their Totem knockoff is a perfect example. I mean, we're talking almost stitch for stitch, item for item. It is so similar. But here's the thing, Amazon is full of these dupes, and they are all like literal garbage, like one-time wear and that's it. Doing it for an Instagram picture. and it's probably going in a landfill. But in my opinion, at least Quince is taking the dupe and making it with a quality standard included in it. Does it make them good? I'm not trying to say that at all. I mean, this is all nuance and it's all like philosophical at best. Yeah, at what point do we draw the line? Who's doing the good and who's doing the bad? Honestly, I don't know. Just the fact that UGG alone is suing Quince for their dupe when UGG is also suing UGG 1974, which like now they had to change their name. It's such a confusing lawsuit, but basically UGG since 1974 had to change their name to since 1974. They had to drop UGG altogether. It's basically just David and Goliath. Basically, companies just want to control the market share. And in doing so, they are able to control quality standards. The original UGG 1974, since 1974, is far better quality and far better standards, but UGG has the dominant market share and doesn't want their brand confused with these other brands that have a higher quality standard. My brain hurts when I talk about stuff like this because it is so frustrating how much a lot of these companies that really lead with integrity and quality keep getting squashed. Where I think Quince is doing the wrong thing, again, in my personal opinion, they need to stop comparing themselves to a lot of these higher end brands, because in some cases they do match these brands, but in other cases they heavily do not match these brands. But I think the biggest problem with Quince is the overpromise and underdeliver. They do not need to do that. They actually do make good products that have a great place in the market, but don't try and sell me something claiming it's going to be the same as something that it isn't. That's where I think they erase so much of the positive for the company. It's important to understand what the quality difference is, especially when we have multiple generations of consumers utterly confused about what value is for anything. But in my opinion, Quince is selling themselves short by trying to make claims that they can't always live up to. I kind of see Quince as Silicon Valley tech bro meets capsule wardrobe, and it makes for a damn interesting company. A viewer recently pointed out that Quince is very boring when it comes to style, and you are not wrong. You are not wrong in the least bit. I would consider it boring. And I know I said at the beginning of this video that this isn't based on style, but we are in my opinion section, and it is a bit boring. But do I love boring in some cases? Yes. Yes, I do. I think a good wardrobe has a mix of both. It has boring, it has high-low, and it has statement pieces. And as someone who likes to thrift the majority of my statement pieces, because it is almost impossible to find affordable, good quality statement pieces at this point in time, like we're talking a really extravagant loud wool blazer. I'm not gonna be able to afford something like that at this point in my career. Most good quality pieces are gonna be anywhere from $500 to $1,000. So instead of going to somewhere like Zara or H&M and buying those loud, extravagant pieces, but is made of polyester and is inevitably gonna end up in the landfill, I'll thrift those pieces. But I think where they really win and I see their true value is in the office wear. And we're talking affordable office wear. If I was in a situation where I was going to a 9-to-5, I would probably look to Quince for the majority of my pieces because I think they're very affordable. And I think if you're starting out in a career and you need a new wardrobe, Quince is gonna be one of those places that can fill the gap in a lot of people's wardrobes that doesn't break the bank. Now, of course, I'm always gonna say go thrifting, but trust me, I understand thrifting is extremely time consuming. It takes work, it takes effort, and I think in the society that we live in this day and age, sometimes having a website that you know you can go to that always has good quality basics, it is something that we truly need for the average consumer. Do I wish that we didn't live under this framework of like constantly having to search the internet for good quality standards? Of course, but I think for the price point, Quince is doing a pretty good job. But oh my gosh, please, for the love of God, somebody at Quince, put some damn pockets on your pants. That is it for today's video. This was probably the longest running review I think I've done on a single company, but it was interesting to say the least. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you're new around here, I might have a couple extra videos for you right here and right here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.